Guys, on this video, we're going to discuss 4 different ways that you can work out. So guys, put down the candy bars and pick up the curl bars. So guys, my name is Billy Collins.
MATJ.
And this is Magician.
And the Jock.
So Matt.
Put down the candy bars, pick up the curl bars.
You like that?
I like it. Yeah, so this video, obviously working out's passionate about us. This whole channel is about how to get better.
Be a better...
Just get the best version of yourself.
Yeah, because we just talked about it. We talk about, how to be a better entrepreneur, how to better yourself as physically fit or appearance-wise, mentally-wise. So it's kind of basically about making you better. Yeah,
just trying to maximize potential. So obviously, I've got a sports background. That's kind of what I'm most well known for, was my time, playing college ball. I went to the East Carolina game this past week. Was recognized. I was kind of reminded of that life I used to be in. You've got a sports background. A lot of people who watch have sports backgrounds, and I've noticed, when you're coming up through high school, you go through weight training, and kind of the workout culture, if you will, is much more ingrained now than, say, when I talked to my dad, and then they didn't lift weights in high school, right? Their fitness was sports, right? They just played sports. There wasn't quite as much emphasis on getting bigger or stronger. A lot of that was, remember when Tiger Woods first started really working out? He was the first guy on tour that had a lot of muscle, because the thought process was, I'm going to lose flexibility, I'm going to lose explosiveness and all that stuff, and then he kind of blew that out of the water. Now everybody's jacked.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, if you're sitting there and you decided, hey, I want to work out, we're going to discuss 4 different styles, I guess, of working out that you may want to incorporate into your life and make yourself a little bit better.
Yeah, try to simplify it to, hey, this is kind of how your personality is or what you hope to accomplish, then maybe try this.
Yeah.
Right, because if you Google, if I'm sitting here, I'm a 43-year-old dude, and maybe I worked out when I played sports, haven't worked out in a while, and it's like, what's the best workout for a 43-year-old dude? Google's going to come up with 275 million hits, and they're all going to be bashing one or the other, and you're kind of left to your own.
Yeah, so we're going to discuss 4 different ways, the pros and cons of each one. So let me start by saying this: if you're confused, if you go to the gym, you're not real sure what you're supposed to be doing or how you're supposed to be doing it, reach out to the front desk, talk to a personal trainer, go ahead and get maybe a month with a personal trainer, kind of get you a pathway into your fitness journey. So it's the easiest way.
Find yourself a meathead.
And go ask them.
It's like take a kid fishing, just take a kid curling.
Yeah, how do you do this? Why do I lift this weight?
But why don't we start with what you've got going on? You've mentioned Sports Center, Grant, the more of the circuit style training, just from the outside looking in. Why was that appealing to you? Where were you at when you really started going into that, and who do you think might benefit from that? So when
I've always lifted weights, I've always worked out and stuff, but when I went through my divorce and I was just really taking a hard look at myself, and I was grotesque. I thought I was just hideous looking. And I kind of got burned out with just lifting weights. I didn't feel like it was actually just helping me. I was stronger.
You needed a jump start.
Right. I needed something to mix it up. I'm kind of one of those people that if I keep doing the same thing over and over again, it becomes repetitive and it becomes boring. So I needed something to kind of kickstart the fitness, and then my trainer, Grant, was like, well, you need to come to my classes.
Right.
And it's more of a HIIT style, and if you're not familiar with what the HIIT style is high intensity training. So sometimes we're timed, sometimes we're not in our class, but for the most part in HIIT, you're timed, and you have a certain amount of time to do a certain lift or cardio situation or whatever the case may be. You have to get it in within that time frame. So there's really no time to rest in between.
That's what I would say. It's like cardio weightlifting. So if you haven't been in the gym for a while, I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't recommend that.
No,
just
definitely
because
not.
How big of a hit it is on your respiratory system. But if you're watching this and maybe you've been working out, I've seen guys and girls at the gym all the time have been working out pretty dutifully that their just body hasn't made any changes. So if you're looking to like shock the system, that would be something I would do if I was getting bored. You know, pretty popular version of circuit training, if you will, would be like CrossFit.
Right.
You know, CrossFit has gotten really, really popular. Number one, with those who want to be a part of a community, there is that community aspect. You work out in kind of a class setting as
I
well
got
as by
a group
yourself.
of people, and then we kind of push each other, and that's the good part about it as well.
There's huge social aspect to it, but another who might be interested in this, just from the outside looking in, if you're a former athlete, right, and you want to feel athletic when you work out, that might be something for you. I know I got a lot of buddies that I played college with, that I played pros with, and once they get done playing their sport, it's like, what do I work out for? How do I
fill that void?
How do I just work out for overall health? Every time I've ever worked out has been to be able to, you know, do better on the field, or, you know, build my cardio, or, you know, fourth quarter, things like that. I don't know. Have you seen that?
I have. You know, we have a lot of people that college students that go off to college, play college sports, and then they come back. They graduate, and they're like, well, I'm not running track anymore. I'm not swimming. We have a big swim culture in our area, especially at our gym.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So, you know, they're like, they miss that kind of unison with people, and to have that team.
And also, I know coming up in college, that's how we trained. It was quicker, faster workouts, you know, because the idea is, hey, it's okay to look good, but we don't want to do that if you're winded by the second quarter.
Right. So
for a fighter, if you're winded in the second round, all that muscle doesn't mean much.
Yeah. So I see a lot of that in our classes. We have different levels of classes, of course, but the kids that come in after college are really big into it because they can still have that high intensity, that training aspect, the running through tires, the hurdles and box jumps and all that.
Think of it more like functional fitness, right? That's if you want to work out in a way that you can then, I always say, if the zombie apocalypse happens, you'll be able to run away. High intensity interval training is the way to go, because each time you come in, it's probably different.
You know, and if you're big, and if you want to get into the Tough Mudders or the Spartan races, or even the triathlons or long form of
more endurance stuff,
right? Endurance runs and biking and stuff. Definitely do a HIIT, because you're going to build that overall fitness and cardio and your longevity in your workouts.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's also some crossover in terms you're going to get stronger. You know, that's kind of at the end of the day is the point for working out, in my opinion, is to get stronger.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, regardless what age you are, regardless what gender you are, like if you were to get sick, I mean, we just went through COVID and stuff, and they said, look, the most vulnerable are the elderly, the weak, you know, and the obese, and it's just those who don't have the agency or the capability to fight it.
And oddly enough, they closed down all the gyms.
Yeah, that's right.
And let the liquor stores open.
Yeah, that's right. And said don't go outside. But anyway, so yeah, that's interval training. Now, on the flip side, and I've done a ton of that, I'm a huge proponent.
Yeah, I was into the bodybuilding.
Bodybuilding.
You've done shows.
I've done a couple
physique shows.
And when people hear bodybuilding, they're thinking it doesn't. Or you could think of it as muscle building, right? So my goal is I target specific muscles, and that's why I like to call it resistance training versus weight training. We'll get into that. But I do use weights, but my goal is, let's say I'm doing chest, right? So my split that I do, and a split for a bodybuilder is essentially, you know, on this day you do this, on this day. So Mondays, obviously, Meathead Monday, I do chest.
Of course, everybody has to start off with chest.
It's like finding a bench there is like finding a seat in church on Christmas. You ain't gonna do it. And then my second day I do back, right? Third day I do legs, aka it's a rest day. Fourth day I'll do shoulders. And if I'm feeling froggy, maybe I'll have a day that's dedicated to just arms. But that's typically how I'll split it up. And I try to hit every muscle group at least once a week.
Now, do you do, like, for example, the secondary muscle for when you do bench is going to be your triceps. Do you flip that and do like chest and biceps one day and do back and triceps?
No, I don't. I honestly, genetically, I've always had bigger arms and bigger shoulders. So a lot of my bodybuilding, what I look at is like sculpting, and I'm just trying to add clay in the areas where I don't need it. So if anything, I almost don't hit my arms much at all. And if I do, maybe let's say I'll hit biceps on maybe the day I do back. Because when you're gripping a bar, your biceps and your forearms are huge. I'll hit it there and I'll just kind of finish it off. But I would argue most don't even need to because how much they're getting stimulated.
Exactly.
Just by gripping a bar, by pulling it. Same thing with triceps, right? So when you do chest or when you do shoulders, the triceps job is to extend the arm, right? So either doing this or that. So maybe if I know, hey, I'm only going to be in the gym 3 days this week, I'll throw some triceps on the back end of either shoulders or chest. And sometimes I'll match up chest and shoulders because, the reality is it's if I'm doing a bench press or a dumbbell press, I'm hitting my front delts. Like it's very difficult to
it's all tied into.
Yeah, so.
Especially on the incline.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things like that, and your dominant body part's going to take over.
Yeah, so guys, if you're looking to...
If you want to look better naked...
Yeah, go to the beach and take your shirt off and not look like melted ice cream, then, try a bodybuilding routine.
Yeah, and we're lifting weights, and now you're going to get stronger, and this is where I'm a lot bigger than a lot of the guys at my gym who have a lot bigger egos than I do.
Right.
Right, because they want to throw as much weight on there as possible, but when you do that, you end up being sore in places you weren't trying to hit, right? So I'd rather do 2 plates on the side and do chest press and actually be
controlled,
ridiculously sore the next day in my chest versus do 4 plates and not feel anything in my chest and I feel it all in my triceps or my front delts or my lats or whatever. So I always tell guys, and I used to personal train back in the day, figure out the function of whatever muscle you're working, right? So tricep, that's the triceps job is to extend the forearm down there, right? Okay, so all to train that, to make it bigger, to force it to grow, is you add resistance, right? Obviously you can add resistance doing a push-up, doing a bench press, doing tricep push-downs, but it's really that simple. But when I'm lifting, I don't really think of it in terms of I'm lifting weight. I think of it in terms of I'm flexing the weight.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm here and I'm just flexing it up, forcing the muscles to grow. And I would argue for most people watching, their reason for working out, at least initially, is to look better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even with what I do with the HIIT program is, at the end of the day, for aesthetics, I want to look good because when I started, I was 205 pounds at 5'9", and it wasn't a good 205. It was a fatty. So same thing with bodybuilding. Yes, you need to throw in some cardio with it.
And that would be something
because that would be next to con of it, is that you don't get that. I mean, I get winded sometimes when I'm doing heavy weights, but not to the point where I'm on an assault bike getting.
Yeah, so it's a different type of cardio, but I do cardio as well. But it's not, I'm not doing a set of chest press to maybe like a set of jump squats like you guys would do, right? Where it's just, hey, we're trying to do some movements to elevate the heart rate. When I'm lifting weights, when I'm doing resistance training, that's what I'm there to do, is just that. And then I'll separate that and I'll do cardio. Like I try to get at least 10,000 steps in a day, 15 if I'm feeling really like don't want to be inside my house, But I separate them out. But there's been all kinds of studies done showing the amount of calories you burn resistance training as opposed to just cardio, like running or whatever. Your body is very good at adapting.
Right.
So if you think just walking on the treadmill the same every single day forever, your body's going to get used to that. It's going to become easy.
And that's why it's good to switch up your routines as well. Because if you're doing the same thing, benching all the time, yes, you're going to get stronger. But as far as looks wise, your body will adapt to that situation. So throw in some flies or some dumbbell presses or something a little different, just to kind of like make those muscles go, oh, shit, we're doing something different today.
Yeah, give it a reason to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, give it a reason to grow. But if you follow my workout routine, would probably be really boring to you.
Right.
And your workout routine would probably be really unnecessary to me. Like, I don't like. I look better than everyone. This would be my mindset. I look better than everybody. I don't need to do all this.
Yeah.
Flip a tire over my head and like do jumping jacks.
Well, we all didn't win the genetic lottery.
But
so.
you get what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, no, exactly, 100%.
It's just like in mixed martial arts. Is jiu-jitsu better than taekwondo? Is taekwondo better than boxing?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, just do something.
Something that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings us to the third one we have on our list, because we talked about the repetition of one movement and not mixing it up. Well, we're going to go into the actual weightlifting part. Now, there's a difference between bodybuilding and weightlifting. Bodybuilding, you're trying to shock the muscle to grow. So you look.
I say it's not how much I bench press; it's how much I look like.
Right. So it looks like you look good. You're still strong. You're still healthy.
You will get stronger, yeah.
But you're going for that overall appearance. Where in weightlifting, you're not necessarily going for that. You're going for the sheer power of lifting weights.
You're walking around hoping someone says, "How much do you bench?"
Yeah. You're like 550.
You know, so yeah, weightlifting, and I know you did that because you're naturally, I would argue, you're naturally a lot stronger than I am. Fortunately, I wasn't cursed with being really strong. Now I say I wasn't cursed with that because if you're used to putting like 2 plates on the bench and making it easy, that's going to always be your expectation. And fortunately, I wasn't that, so I could focus more. I had to get big by flexing it up, like you said, but you know, you're strong. You've told me, hey, I want to do deadlift 500 pounds or whatever. That's what weightlifting would be. It's not how I look, it's how much weight I can move.
Right. And for me, I mean, some injuries and that's kind of why I do the HIIT program a little bit more, because with my injuries to my shoulders over the years, I'm 50 years old. I played a lot of sports, a lot of baseball, a lot of football. And you tear up your shoulders and lifting in the interval of those.
Joints are joints, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like I can really sit down and do 225. I'm happy if I do 155 10 times. You know, that's a good day for me. And it's not that I'm weak, it's just I've gotten to that point in my years. So, that's why I do HIIT. But with the weightlifting part,
yes,
you know, those guys are just...
Hey, we had Brandon Stoops on the podcast.
Yeah, who is a massive beast. We have Ken Schlonsky on that can lift a small planet.
And it's you know, we understand there's crossover. Like, I could look at HIIT and say, man, I absolutely hate doing cardio. So HIIT might be a good way for me to still lift weights and inadvertently get cardio in. So I'm like scratching that itch. I personally don't mind doing cardio. But with weight training, you are, hey, look, you set a baseline. Maybe I can bench 215, and my goal is I want to bench 230. So you're slowly increasing the load. Now you're going to get bigger naturally, but if you look at a bodybuilder's physique versus a weightlifter's physique, a bodybuilder's physique is probably more well-rounded, right? I always say my goal is to look like an anatomy chart. I want someone teaching an anatomy class to say, here's the
perfect male.
Here's the trapezes. Here's the serratus. Here's all that stuff. That's what I want them to do. Weightlifting doesn't matter. It's like I need to get it from point A, you know,
and I'm going to
pick it up and put it down.
I'm going to eat small children.
Yeah, and
I can eat what I want because I need that energy to live.
And if I look good, that's a happy accident, as Bob Ross would put it. But that's not the first goal. So if you're watching this and you've always been, you know, naturally strong, or if that's, you know, I guess what if you boil down what we're saying, whatever you need to tell yourself to get in the gym and start working towards it,
do
awesome.
It. Because when it comes to physique, you know, we have a trainer who is a champion powerlifter too, Brittany Soblicki, who is, I mean, she's jacked. I mean, she looks fantastic, and she doesn't worry so much about her diet unless she's in the competition mode. It's more or less to lift, and you still look good. So move, like Rich Cooper says, just lift heavy shit and get it done. So that kind of takes us into the next realm, which you probably dealt more so than I have, and that's the actual sports fitness aspect.
Yeah, so if you're younger and watching this, or maybe if you're older, I used to personal train. I had a lot of clients who would come in and say, hey, I want to add 15 yards to my drive in golf, right? Or I play beach volleyball, so I want to increase my vertical jump. I want to become more athletic, or at least become the most athletic that I can become. Now, I'll be the first to say, so I played football professionally. The gym, I looked at the gym when it came to sport-specific training as I wanted that to supplement my performance on the field, right? You either have the talent or you don't.
Right.
You have the explosion. Now, there are things you can do like power cleans, hang snatches, broad jumps, just more, I think everyone...
Explosive type deals.
Yeah, because you're trying to increase... what is force, right? It's mass times acceleration, right? So the mass side of it, you're getting bigger, you're taking in more calories. You know, I got a chance to sit at the East Carolina game and spoke to some high school kids who, you know, they wanted to get bigger, and their problem was they were 14 and 15 and they got the freaking metabolism of a jackrabbit at this age. And I'm like, look, just keep doing what you're doing. But with sports training, you don't want to sacrifice too much of your athleticism.
Yeah, because you still have to throw in that, and that's what makes it a little different. Yeah, you have to throw in agility, flexibility, along with strength. So it's a little more intense, and
I would say,
once again...
I wouldn't even say it's as intense. I would say it's a little more targeted.
Yeah, well maybe that's a better choice. But if you're looking to get into a routine, train like you're a pro athlete. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to benefit. You're going to get something out of it, and you're going to feel better.
Yeah, and if your goal, if you play golf and you want to increase the distance on your swing, right? Or let's say you're a pitcher, right? A pitcher that wants to add a couple miles per hour in velocity on their fastball. Well, obviously, you don't see any pitchers out there with 25-inch biceps, right? That's kind of, it goes against that whip. So what will a pitcher do? Well, you see a lot of them doing, you know, external rotation. Yeah, there's just more range of motion stuff.
Rotator cuff.
Yeah, and for sports, especially at the highest level where I was at, I'll be honest, those guys, they could just do jump rope every day and they'd have abs. Right?
Oh, yeah.
They're on the top of the top from a genetic perspective. But a lot of their working out was to prevent injuries, to strengthen the different things like the ligaments and stuff around your knee, right? So there's a lot of knee mobility stuff. For pitchers, it's making sure their range of motion here is good, that it's strong, but it's not so tight that it can just snap.
Yeah, the flexibility aspect of things.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's wherever you're at on that spectrum, like, get moving, because you might fall in love with weightlifting. Great. Get it. That's better than not doing anything, right? I'm partial to bodybuilding just because I've seen the positive impacts on me. I think to me, bodybuilding is the best blend of both aesthetics as well as
performance,
the strength, and like the overall health aspects of it. And look, at the end of the day, what do they say? Abs are made in the
kitchen,
not the weight room. So that's going to be your quickest. Or if you couple working out, actually just start watching your diet a little bit. It could be as simple as don't eat after 9 o'clock at night. Maybe drink a little bit more water. It's amazing how quickly
your body just transforms.
Just how amazing your body is. Like, and this thing wants to be jacked.
And the cool thing, what Matt just said, is that once you start seeing the results, you start pushing yourself, and you set yourself with little goals and challenges, and you say, you know, I went from a size 36 waist to a size 30, 31. And you're like, okay, well, you know, and I saw when I went from 36, because I was at, like I said, 205, and it was sloppy. When I went from a 36 to a 34, I'm like, that feels good, but I got a long ways to go. So you start pushing yourself, the more results you see in the mirror, because the mirror, to me, I don't like to scale.
Yeah, I always tell clients,
the mirror is the biggest.
I was like, use the mirror as your scale, right? Because weight doesn't, how much you weigh doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah, because you will gain more weight by adding muscle. Yeah, muscle's more dense.
Or you stay the same size and it's shifting, from you're losing fat and gaining muscle. They say muscle weighs more than fat. And yeah, I mean, I'm 6'2", fluctuate between 228 and 232, somewhere around there. So if you put me on like the charts that they give you, like they would say,
Your BMI
you're
is,
overweight.
yeah.
Like you're almost obese, but I'm clearly not. So
Right.
body fat's far more important than body weight.
100%.
And body fat, it's not something you have to measure every time. You can look in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
If
You can tell your clothes.
if you see striations, if you see just
Your
if you're starting
veins.
to turn into that anatomy chart. Like I was a kid, I'm like, man, I got more definition than a dictionary. Like that's my goal. And someone asked me recently, like, Matt, you're still working out just as hard as you ever have now. What's your goal now? And I'm like, turn heads.
Yeah.
That's like, I want to walk in and someone say, oh shit, this guy, he's obsessed.
Yeah.
Like he's been at this for a long time.
And that's a good way to look at it too. If you find a purpose, if your purpose is to feel better, if your purpose is to live longer, so you can see your kids and your grandkids, if your purpose is to turn heads, it's fine. If your purpose is to run a marathon, find a purpose and go. It's almost like find your why. But
yeah, or if you find yourself divorced later in life, now you're suddenly back on the market.
yeah.
Trust me, that's a great motivation. You can always tell who
God.
just went through a breakup because they're like,
Because you go from
they're like doing lunges over the bridge and like they're wearing like a weighted vest and they're just working out their demons. Whatever you have to take, whatever. I always say, look, the reason people start isn't usually the reason they stay.
Right.
But the important thing is just to start.
And that's the God's honest truth. Because I started because I wanted it to look better, and now I'm doing it because I feel better.
It's like I started because I couldn't see my pecker, and now it's like,
It's there.
hey, little fella.
I went from dad bod to chad bod.
Yeah.
So guys, we're just scratching the surface of working out and getting your physique right. So if you like this, please leave us a comment. If you want us to have a nutritionist on, we'll reach out to one and have them come on and talk about your dieting. If you want to see that, leave us a comment down below, okay? Also do us a huge favor. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel.
Smash the like button.
We'll see you on the next video.
Peace.